Angus Young, how you doing?
Good, Becko.
The Offspring.
How's it going, Becko?
Dave Grohl, how you going, mate?
Good, man.
Pete, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, Becko, hasn't it indeed?
We go inside the dressing room, speak to the biggest names in music,
Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
and crack open their esky.
That's exactly how I imagined you, by the way, sitting opposite me with a vodka and orange.
You're a discerning chap. This is The Rider.
Hey, it's Becko. Welcome back to The Rider. Last time around, it was fantastic to catch up with Davey Lane. I think out of all the Aussie bands that I've seen live, I still love UMI. UMI is that band that I will always book a night and go and see because they are just still so good live. And Davey Lane's done his project now with a brand new album out, which I recommend you go and check out if he's doing some gigs down the track. His new album is a masterpiece. So great to catch up with Davey Lane. If you missed that chat, you can catch up now on all platforms as well as previously. Dave Graney and the Coral Snakes, Alice Cooper, Angus Young. We had the Buckleys on a few weeks ago. All those are on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. But this week on The Rider, Franz Ferdinand. They are coming back to Australia for the first time in over 6 years. Franz Ferdinand really burst onto the scene. It was like an overnight success, wasn't it? There's a bunch of dates coming up, November and December, including the River Stage in Brisbane, Anita's Theatre in Thirroul, and even the Opera House front steps. Franz Ferdinand, their sixth album came out this year as well. That was a bit of taste of that new album from Franz Ferdinand there. And I've got Bob jumping on Zoom from Scotland right now, and there he is. Bob Hardy. G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Mate, doing well. Doing well. You must be so damn excited. You're not far away from landing over here. You've had a lot of connections with Australia over the years, so you must be pretty pumped.
Yeah, no, can't wait to come back down. Yeah, it's always an event coming to Australia, you know. So, yeah, it's one of the things you look forward to. It's been so long as well. It's been like 2018 was the last time, 7 years ago.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
And a lot has changed since then, but I mean, I was looking back on all the tours you'd done. You did, 2004, just as you guys sort of were smashing it, and you were famously on the big day out. I think it was 2006 as well, which must have been a bit of an experience because it's always a bit of a wild tour.
Absolutely. One of the absolute highlights of our career, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely loved it. It was like, just the lineup that year was incredible. It was like White Stripes, Iggy, Kings of Leon, Copy. It was just unbelievable. And because it's over such a long period of time, it's like a big traveling circus, and you're hanging out with the bands every day. You just felt like it's like half like you were on holiday and half that you now lived in Australia. It was just brilliant.
What was it like coming into being in a band? Because I know that it was a bit of an accident almost for you, and now you're here.
Yeah, no, I didn't play an instrument as a teenager. I was just a huge music fan, really, and that was one of the reasons that I moved to Glasgow. I met Alex. We worked together in a kitchen, and we talked about this idea of a hypothetical band. Like, if we had a band together, what would it be like? And then one day I was around at his house, and he pulled out a bass and was like, "Hey, why don't you, look, have a go? I've got over and play me some songs you've been writing." And it was quite a wild ride, really. From that, which was the end of 2001, we were playing in Glastonbury like 3 years later. 3 years later. So
isn't that insane?
It was wild. It was a wild ride.
What is it about that Glasgow scene, by the way? Because a lot of great bands obviously have come out of it, and you would have probably seen a few, going out. Is it the cold, sort of bleak weather, or yeah? I
think that people often say it's because it rains so much that you're kind of inside learning how to play your guitar, which I think there's a big part of that. There's also Glasgow is quite a dynamic city. There's a lot of young people because there's like so many colleges and universities and stuff. There's 4, I think, maybe more. And so it was always a very busy scene. So there's there's an audience there for music. And so which is great. Not all cities have that. I think that's part of it.
And you're talking earlier about sort of by accident, sort of being recommended the bass at Alex's house. That was a famous bass, though, wasn't it? Wasn't it like?
Yeah, Alex was given it by a guy called Mick Cook, who was played in Belle and Sebastian. He was a friend of his, and it wasn't, you know, it was I can't remember the brand. It wasn't like fancy bass or anything. But he brought it to a practice with a band called the Amphetamines that Alex used to play in with him. And he's like, I've got this spare bass. Anyone want it? And Alex said, I'll take it off your hands. He's like, okay, you can have it, but you've got to do something useful with it. And we did something useful. I think Alex still has the bass. I think it's in his guitar storage cupboard at his house. I'll have to look it out.
Kids sort of learn the guitar fairly young and or very late or whatever, but it must have been just so surreal to have that debut just go so well and so quickly.
Yeah. Well, I thought we were really good. Like, you know, even from like our first rehearsals when it started gelling and kind of coming together, and Paul had switched to drums, I thought this is a really good band. And I was so naive, you know. I just thought, well, yeah, of course we're good. Of course this is happening. You know. And it's only afterwards that you kind of realise, oh no, that was quite unusual. That, you know, that kind of, you know, you make a record and suddenly you're playing in Australia and America and South America and playing at the Grammys and stuff. And by the time I was like, well, yeah, of course, we're great. Perspective of years later, it's like, oh yeah, that was a pretty surreal time.
And you got all these indie bands who are just going, damn you, you know, I've been working hard on this for so long. And you got a Grammy nomination.
Yeah. It just seemed quite surreal.
But the thing is too, I mean, yeah, you're saying that Paul and Nick did a swap, didn't they? Because it wasn't quite working out initially, and then you just worked out, oh, hang on, they're better off doing just a swap.
Yeah. Well, we'd recruited Nick for drums because we'd met him at this party, and it's just Alex and I at this point, I think. And we were like, him and Alex had this fight over a bottle of vodka, and Alex was just like, rather than it was about to kick off, and Alex just stopped and was like, "Do you play drums?" And he's like, "Yeah," but he was a liar because he didn't. He was terrible. And he came along through it, and he was drumming standing up for a while because he couldn't really drum. He was kind of a liar. And then Paul really wanted to. He was a drummer, but he really wanted to play guitar in a band because he'd been singing in his band, another band of his, and he can play guitar, you know. But I guess it got so frustrating for him, like sitting in watching Nick drum, and eventually he was just like, "Look, I'll just do it," and like, you know, kind of like, and it was like night or day. Like, you know, I popped out to the off license to get some booze. And they switched while I was out of the room. And as I was walking back up the steps to the flat, I could hear this band playing. And it was like, that band sounds amazing. I kind of got up and it switched. And it just sounded immediately, it was like, this is brilliant, you know.
And how long after that were you on a plane to Sweden to, you know, record the new album? It must have been within a year or so.
Well, yeah, our first show was in May 2002, and we went to record in summer. I mean, end of July 2003. So that was like a year and a half-ish. Yeah, something like that. And a lot had happened in the interim. You know, we'd played a lot of shows in Glasgow. We'd gone down to London. We'd met. You know, we found these labels were suddenly interested in us, and then we kind of like, you know, we did all that kind of stuff, and then went to make the album.
And I mean, what a story! I mean, take me out. God, I think I've played on the radio 1,000 times at least, you know. And whenever you hear that opening, the riff, everyone knows that song. It's a staple. But you managed to stay cool though, because I think the smartest thing you guys ever did was you were determined not to be a dad rock band, you know, a blokey band. It's a you know, I know it's been said before, but a band that just want to makes the girls dance, and that's probably one of the best things you guys ever did. Yeah,
I mean that was one of the founding principles. Really, we go to a lot of shows like bands in Glasgow when we were starting out, and it was quite a chin strokey scene. You know, it's very male heavy. Like post rock was the big thing, and I know post rock I love post rock, and it's got its place. But after the gigs, we'd go out to clubs where, you know, electronic dance music was being played, and that was like 50-50 men and women, and it was much more exciting than being in the basement of the guitar, the guitar band basement with this little bunch of blokes stroking their chins. And so we wanted to bring the energy of the clubs into live guitar music, and we were a big fan of dance music. We wanted to take the dynamics of dance music but play it with live instruments and that kind of thing. It was very important to us. That was one of the founding principles, really.
Was there any pressure early on to do the London move? Because a lot of bands sort of do that. They sort of go for a year or 6 months or whatever.
When it all kicked off, we didn't really live anywhere. We lived on the road for like 3 years, so it wasn't really relevant. we didn't live anywhere. We lived in out of a suitcase in a hotel room. So I think one of the beneficial things about being in Glasgow as well is being far away from London. Like, we were given time as a band to kind of develop and find our identity. Without being bothered by the music industry in any way whatsoever, because no one has a clue what's going on outside of London. Whereas you hear stories about bands, there's a hotly tipped band in London, but their second show, they've got like, a dozen A&R guys were there trying to sign them up. When frankly, by the time of your second gig, you're still trying to work out who you are and what you're doing. You need that kind of space to breathe and work out what it is, work out who you are. Which we were given that opportunity by being in Glasgow.
After that, did you find the second album came easily, or was it the difficult second album which happens for many bands because you have that record company pressure all of a sudden, or was it a thing where you just went, you know what, we want to get in the studio as soon as possible after being on the road and just do it?
We did want to get in the studio as soon as possible. I think part of it was because the world had gone insane by that point. We were playing the Brits, playing at the Grammys, blah blah blah, and the only place where the world seemed in any way normal was when it was just the four of us in a room. So we just kept that going really, and went into a studio and started working on music. And looking back now, I can see that we were absolutely exhausted when we were working on the record, but at the time you're just going on pure adrenaline. And the second album is very fast, I think, and that's kind of an indicator of the kind of headspace we were in. We just come off the road playing all these big rock shows, and then suddenly this is how it goes. There was no distinction between stage and studio at that point. We were playing like a live band, which brings an energy to the album, I think, that people connected with. But it's different. It's different to how we would make a record this right now, or how nowadays we wouldn't approach a record in the same way. But it fit at the time. It fit. So,
and the same with the debut. I've heard people like I think it was Keith Richards saying that when you record a song, you don't think too far ahead. You just want to do a great song, get it laid down, get it out, and you're happy. But that song is going to keep developing over the years and changing, and you're adding bits to it. And before you know it, 50 years has passed. And he talked about Brown Sugar being like that. And it is sort of, Take Me Out or Do You Wanna? Are they sort of morphed over the years as well?
Yeah, I think Take Me Out is actually zero changes in arrangement, apart from we sometimes extend the intro. But Do You Want To has changed over the years, and I can't quite remember how, because I can't remember how the record sounds, but I know that we've made changes, and I couldn't tell you what they are.
So you haven't listened to the album in a long time, I guess?
No, not really, no. But it's weird how songs evolve over the years. And it's funny, Keith Richards saying that, and I can imagine the Stones 50 years later tweaking songs to maybe better if we went like this. That does happen to us as well. Often Alex's will be like, "Been having a thought about this song that we've been playing for 20 years. I think if we change, what if we change it like this?" And it often works better. So it is an evolving thing. That's what a live band is, though, isn't it? A live band, you're not just trying to recreate an album as faithfully as possible. That's what covers bands do. We're a live band, so things evolve.
And did you learn things early on from more experienced musos about surviving on the road as well? Because I sort of hear stories about, you've got to be smart with your, obviously your alcohol intake, but also smart with holding back your rider and keeping the bottle of vodka and for the next couple of nights to get you through.
I can't remember any particular instance of older musicians or more experienced musicians saying that stuff. It's stuff I've learned myself over the years. It's like, you don't have to drink all the rider every night, and like, you might enjoy the gigs more without a hangover, that kind of thing. And now I don't drink anymore, so it's like, and I enjoy the live shows so much more sober than I used to. There was one time we were playing in New York, and David Bowie used to come down to our shows in New York quite a lot. And one time we were just about to go on. It was like Madison Square Garden Theatre, and we'd just been given our PDs, and it was quite a big show. And Nick was kind of like just nervously rolling and unrolling this like $20 bill, and then Bowie opens the door and puts his head into the dressing room, and he thought that Nick was about to like do drugs. He was like, you could see his face just dropped. He was so disappointed. He was like, "Oh, you're not, are you, boys?" But no, honestly, no, we're not doing drugs. He was just absentmindedly rolling up a note because he's like, it's like nervous energy before he goes on stage. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, phew, thank God for that. Have a good show." So yeah, I think that was quite funny.
But also, just imagine just casually just having a chat with David Bowie, who's responsible for so many iconic songs, and you're on a sort of a relaxed conversational basis. Yeah, no, it was surreal time. Yeah, he was a lovely guy, very, very normal. I know you've got a lot of influences sort of on, particularly the Beatles. I think you said in an interview recently.
Yes.
So that's a big influence on you?
Yeah, yes, as in, like, in my head, I was so obsessed with the Beatles when I was a kid that they were like my blueprint of what a band should be, and I loved reading. I'd read every book I could find about the Beatles. My favorite was a Hunter Davis biography, and that was like the first official authorized biography, and he kind of went on the road with them, and the behind the scenes stuff that he would describe, I would just lapped it up. I found it fascinating, like what they would get up to when they were off the road and stuff. And of course. I mean, it's difficult to escape the Beatles as a musical influence if you grow up in the UK. I mean, and Paul McCartney's bass lines. I mean, when I was a teenager, I didn't play an instrument, so I wasn't listening. So I didn't play the bass. I was listening to the Beatles. I wasn't really registering, "Oh, that's the bass guitar doing that thing." And then I go back now as a professional bass player and listen to what he's doing, and it just blows my mind. Like, he's just unbelievable. It's like it's like witchcraft. It's like, how is he doing this?
And you also listen to music differently, I'm sure, being a musician, just like I listen to, media and news and all that kind of thing. You do analyze things a lot deeper. And I guess the Beatles had that thing of, don't bore us, get to the chorus. It was just so catchy, so quick. Yeah. And it's the same with Franz. It's the same formula.
Yeah, no, we definitely have always wanted to make music that's like instantly like arresting. But then also to have music that has depth that rewards repeated listens. Like, you can go back and the lyrics have meaning, and you can enjoy that on a different level. And equally, you can just put it on your headphones and walk down the street and enjoy it, on a very surface level, or in a club on a dance floor, just dancing to the beat, not really hearing what the lyrics are. But yeah, no, that's my dream of music is like, it's something that's immediately grabs your attention and then rewards deeper listening.
Now, before you come down under, Audrey Tate, you got a new drummer. I mean, not I wouldn't say new. It's been a while now, but for the rest of us, fairly new. Yeah,
it'll be her first time in Australia with us, but she's been drumming with us for like four years now. So yeah, it's not a short period of time. Excited. Yeah, we're all very excited to come down. Audrey's a fantastic drummer. People, I mean, everyone loves Audrey. Like, she's like just incredible. I'm so happy she's in the band. She's a brilliant person as well.
Has it changed your job a little bit with the rhythm section at all, or is it much the same? Is it a little bit slightly quicker, or any little tweaks?
I don't know. I mean, Paul obviously is a fantastic drummer, and so is Audrey. I've only worked with the best. So don't know really. I don't know. I have to think about that. I'm not sure if. I think that's one of the. I'm not sure it has, and I think that is a testament to Audrey's skill as a drummer that I haven't really noticed myself performing any differently. She's just fits right in, you know. She's like, she's so instinctive. She's just an instinctive player, and yeah, just unbelievably good drummer.
And you know what? I think that's a great quality to have, because I've sort of noticed with drummer changes, say with the Foo Fighters or AC/DC, it's noticeably different with the pace. You've hit the jackpot there by the sound of it.
Yeah, no, she's so versatile. I think she's played in such a variety of bands in her career. Like, hit from like hip hop stuff to, trad bands or whatever. So yeah, she's very versatile. She's incredible.
Well, look, we can't wait to see. I before you go, I do want to get one story out of you. What's the deal with the MTV after party with Usher
and the Tigers?
One of your celebrity moments hanging out with the Cub Tigers.
Yeah, it was the MTV Awards in Rome. And there were a bunch of parties, and one of them, I think it was Usher's party, and but he made his grand entrance like carrying 2 baby tiger cubs.
That wouldn't fly these days, probably. I reckon.
Probably not. No, probably not. Yeah.
We can't wait to catch you. So you're going to be doing a range of great venues on your Australian tour, including they've got the River Stage in Brisbane, Anita's Theatre in Thirroul. It's next to one of the great surf beaches, by the way. So I'm assuming, I don't know if you surf, but certainly when you're in Wollongong, that'd be a great place to go for a surf.
Well, I'll get my first lesson when I'm there then.
You got to do it. Well, Franz Ferdinand coming to Australia November into December. And Bob, great to catch up with you. And look,
Thanks,
good luck with the packing for the tour. And
thank you very much.
We'll see you very soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Nice to talk to you.
There he is, Bob Hardy from Franz Ferdinand. They're coming back November and December, playing the Red Hill Auditorium in Perth, River Stage in Brisbane, Anita's Theatre in Thirroul, and then you'll see them on the steps of the Opera House as well. All those dates through Ticketmaster, or just go to Frontier Touring. How exciting to have Franz Ferdinand coming back. Make sure you give The Rider a follow. Just go on Instagram, The Rider Pod, and catch up a bunch of great episodes previously you might have missed, including Alice Cooper, the almighty Angus Young, and even the Coronas. This is The Rider with Becko. We'll catch you back soon.